Hello and welcome to In Depth. I'm Tina Jha. Earth's closest cosmic body, the Moon, is often described as a promising testbed to demonstrate technologies that are needed for deep space missions. And for this reason, the world over, the Moon is of great interest to scientists as well as astronomers. For years now, the only means of exploring the Moon was observing it from Earth. It was only in 1959 that the physical exploration of the Moon started with Luna 2, a space probe launched by the erstwhile Soviet Union. A few years later, NASA's Apollo program was the first and the only one till date to successfully land human beings on the Moon. And since then, numerous space missions have been undertaken to study the Earth's natural satellite. The most recent one was our Chandrayaan-2 mission. Although its objective to soft land on the Moon did not go as per plan, 90 to 95% of its other objectives have been achieved. Today in Depth, we talk about the fascination the Moon has always had for human beings, the numerous missions launched by different countries to reach this luminous celestial body, and the ways they have enhanced our understanding. Globally, lunar missions have had a checkered history. Before the United States sent its astronauts to the Moon over 50 years ago, the country's lunar program did have a few failures. Same was the story of USSR's many moon missions. In fact, except the United States, no other country has been able to send a crewed mission to the Moon. So India's inability to achieve a soft landing for Vikram is but a minor hiccup, and will likely provide many important lessons for future missions. Here's a look at moon missions from across the world, starting from the 1950s until now.
Man's fascination with the Moon has a long history, but the bid to explore Earth's satellite began in earnest in the 1950s when the Cold War had just begun. In fact, in that decade, there were a total of 14 lunar missions, all from the US and then USSR. Both countries attempted 7 missions each, with USSR's success rate being much better. Of the 7 missions, the USSR found success in 3. USSR's first lunar mission was conducted in September 1958 with the spacecraft intended to impact the surface of the Moon. However, it failed in the launch phase. But it did have 3 successful missions in the next year. The Luna 1 in January 1959 was designed to impact the Moon, but due to a miscalculation, it went flying past the Moon, but it was the first successful flyby. Luna 2 in September that year was the first spacecraft to impact the Moon's surface. The Luna 3 in October recorded the first pictures of the Moon. For the US, the 1950s was a decade of many failures. Its first moon mission, the Pioneer 0, was intended to orbit the Moon but failed in the launch phase. The Pioneer 4, launched in March 1959, was a partial success. Pioneer 4's second stage overperformance resulted in a flyby at a greater altitude than expected, which was out of instrument range. However, it was the first US spacecraft to leave Earth's orbit.
When Soviet Union in 1957 became successful in sending its first man-made object into space, in Sputnik 1, that began a very intense competition between the then only 2 superpowers, the USA and the USSR, and both wanted to tell their people that, okay, we are the supreme one, not only their own people, but the entire world. So the next frontier was the Moon. So both of them tried their level best to reach out to the Moon.
The 1960s saw an increased desire to explore the Moon. The decade saw 55 lunar missions, again all from the US or the USSR. This was the decade when the United States created history, sending the first man to the moon in July 1969 with its successful Apollo 11 mission. About 8 months before that, America's Apollo 8 became the first spacecraft carrying humans to orbit the moon and return. The Soviet Union too had successful missions, but no manned missions. In January 1966, USSR achieved the first soft landing on the moon and sent pictures from the lunar surface. The Zond 5 in September 1968 was the first spacecraft to orbit the moon and return. It was also the first to carry animals, 2 tortoises, fruit fly eggs and plants to the moon, becoming the first lunar spacecraft to be recovered successfully and carried the first Earth life to travel to and around the moon. The 1970s saw 21 lunar missions. Of these, the 2 most successful ones included the Luna 16 and the Apollo 17. US's Apollo 17 mission in December 1972 remains the most recent manned mission to the moon. Soviet Union's Luna 16 was the first robotic probe to land on the moon and the third time lunar soil was brought back to Earth. The 1980s was a decade of no lunar missions, but the 1990s saw a new player emerging in the lunar space, Japan. The Cold War was over and so was the race between the US and the USSR. In January 1990, Japan sent its first lunar probe, Haiten. It was a partial success as communication was lost with the Hagoromo orbiter, but Haiten did conduct the first aerobraking maneuver by a deep space probe. The first decade of this century saw a total of 6 lunar missions, 2 of the US and 1 each of Europe, China, Japan and India. The Europe Space Agency's Smart 1 impacted the moon's surface at the end of its mission on 3rd September 2006. Japan's Selene also impacted the moon at the end of its mission on 10th June 2009. China's Chang'e 1 also impacted the moon on 1st March 2009 at the end of its mission. Then there was India's Chandrayaan 1 on 21st October 2008 that found the first signs of water on the moon, a major discovery in terms of future missions. In the current decade, there have been 11 missions to the moon, most of them 6 from China. In December 2013, China's Chang'e 3 made the country only the third to land a robotic spacecraft on the moon. It also deployed a small rover named Yutu. The US also sent 3 lunar missions, all successful. Israel Beresheet, sent in February this year, was the country's first and the first attempt by a private company to land on the moon. But the mission was unsuccessful as it was lost during landing. Then came India's latest Chandrayaan 2 mission that has been a 95% success. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
And let's now talk about India's missions to the moon. According to ISRO, the idea of undertaking an Indian scientific mission to the moon was initially mooted in a meeting of the Indian Academy of Sciences in 1999. That was followed up by discussions in the the Astronautical Society of India in the year 2000. Based on the recommendations of these forums, a National Lunar Mission Task Force was constituted by ISRO, whose proposal for the first Indian moon mission, Chandrayaan 1, was approved in 2003 and the mission was launched 5 years later in 2008. The second moon mission, Chandrayaan 2, came in July 2019. It was on 22nd October 2008 that India's first mission to moon, Chandrayaan 1, was launched from Sriharikota. The successful launch put India in an elite group of countries that had achieved the feat. The Chandrayaan 1 spacecraft was based on an Indian meteorological satellite called KalpanSat. It was about the size of a refrigerator with a dry weight, which is the weight without fuel, of about 525 kilograms and was powered by a solar array that charged lithium-ion batteries on board. Launched aboard Apollo satellite launch vehicle rocket, it reached the moon on 8 November 2008, carrying 11 scientific instruments built in India, USA, UK, Germany, Sweden and Bulgaria. Chandrayaan-1 operated for 312 days between October 2008 to August 2009. It made more than 3,400 orbits around the moon, and the mission was concluded when the communication with the spacecraft was lost on 29 August 2009. Chandrayaan-1 was intended not only to be a demonstration of India's technology in space, but also was expected to return scientific information about the moon. Its major goal was to collect data about the moon's geology, mineralogy, and topography. According to ISRO, various mission planning and management objectives of Chandrayaan-1 were met. The mission goal of harnessing the science payloads, lunar craft, and the launch vehicle with suitable ground support systems was realized, which was helpful for future explorations like the Mars Orbiter mission. Notably, Chandrayaan-1's data revealed to the world the existence of water molecules near the south pole of the moon's surface. Research that followed that significant discovery has recently shown that there is plenty of water on the moon.
2008, India also sent its Chandrayaan-1, and it was a step ahead because we sent an impactor. So not only it circled the moon, but it sent a kind of a lander which was designed to crash land on the surface of moon. Our Chandrayaan-1 is a historic mission because in spite of so many missions to moon, including the manned mission to moon, the scientists were believing that moon is a dry land. There is no water available on the surface of moon. But Chandrayaan-1 conclusively proved that water exists. The question was how much water and where. So that is why we started to think of sending another Chandrayaan mission when it will try to assess how much water is there and where it is located.
More than a decade after the successful launch of its first lunar probe, India successfully launched its second lunar mission Chandrayaan-2 on 22nd July 2019. The spacecraft entered the moon space after leaving the Earth's orbit in the dark hours on 14th August after a crucial maneuver called translunar insertion. The spacecraft entered the lunar orbit on 20th August after the lunar orbit insertion maneuver. On 2nd September, the Vikram lander successfully separated from the orbiter, following which two deorbiting maneuvers were performed to bring it closer to the moon. On 7th September, it successfully completed the rough braking phase but lost communication with the ground stations during the fine braking phase when it was just 2.1 kilometers above the lunar surface.
But Indian Chandrayaan-2, it was the first one to attempt to land on this near the south pole of the moon. Why? Because India chose to go to the place where we will get maximum science. It had three basic missions. The first one was to send an orbiter and collect data, an orbiter which was much more powerful than Chandrayaan-1 and with much more instruments that will analyze the atmosphere. When we talk of atmosphere at moon, it is basically a kind of plasma because there is no air. It's almost vacuum on this moon, and because of the intense solar radiation, whatever molecules are there, mostly they are in the ionic form. So that need to be carefully analyzed. Then the surface of moon. Analyzing the surface of moon for minerals and for water, and completely mapping the entire, we wanted to completely map the surface of moon in this mission.
A day later, the lander was spotted lying on the moon's surface. Images captured by onboard cameras on the orbiter showed the lander intact but in a tilted position. However, despite the communication loss with the lander and rover, Chandrayaan-2 mission achieved 90 to 95% of its objectives. The orbiter of the spacecraft, whose mission life was designed to be 1 year, would now be able to function for almost 7 years. It will enrich the understanding of the moon's evolution and map the presence of minerals and water molecules in the polar regions using 8 state-of-the-art scientific instruments. The Orbiter camera is the highest resolution camera of 0.3 meters in any lunar mission so far and will provide high resolution images that will immensely help the global scientific community. ISRO is also gearing up for its third lunar mission Chandrayaan-3 in collaboration with the Japan Aerospace Exploration Agency. Under this mission, ISRO will deploy JAXA lander and rover to the south pole of the moon for exploring the region further. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV. 20th of July this year marked the 50th anniversary of one of the biggest scientific and technological feats the world has ever achieved, landing the first humans on the moon. Here's a look at the journey of Apollo 11, the spacecraft that carried 3 American astronauts to the surface of the moon.
One small step for man, one giant leap for mankind. It was 50 years ago that American astronauts Neil Armstrong and Edwin Aldrin took the giant leap for mankind. The 2 astronauts landed their lunar module on the moon on 20th July 1969. 6.5 hours later, Neil Armstrong became the first man to set foot on the surface of the moon. It was a historic moment that heralded a new era of space exploration.
The landing of moon about 50 years ago by Neil Armstrong, when he first stepped out, the very famous word, a small step for me but a giant leap for humankind, is very iconic. Even today when we talk about many things, we say that we have reached moon but we cannot yet do it. Or if you have reached moon, so why can't we do it? So it behaves like a cultural icon of something that is impossible by, or rather very, very difficult by human being, has been achieved.
The Apollo 11 mission occurred 8 years after then US President John F. Kennedy announced in 1961 a national goal of landing a man on the moon by the end of the 1960s. To make Kennedy's dream come true, US Space Agency NASA committed huge amounts of resources to the Apollo program. About 4 lakh people worked on the program and it cost $25 billion at the time. On 16th July 1969, Apollo 11 took off from the Kennedy Space Center in Florida as the world watched keenly. It carried 3 astronauts, Neil Armstrong, Edwin Buzz Aldrin and Michael Collins. A powerful rocket, the Saturn V, carried the Apollo Command and Service Module and the attached lunar module that was to touch down on the moon. 4 days later, Armstrong and Aldrin landed on the moon in the lunar module called the Eagle. Collins stayed in orbit around the moon doing experiments and taking pictures. Nearly 110 hours after leaving Earth, Neil Armstrong stepped on the surface of the moon. 20 minutes later, Buzz Aldrin followed. For 3 hours, Armstrong and Aldrin walked on the moon. They conducted experiments, picked up bits of moon dirt and rocks, planted a US flag on the moon's surface, and spoke with then US President Richard Nixon. The astronauts also left a plaque on the moon saying, "Here men from the planet Earth first set foot upon the moon July 1969 AD. We came in peace for all mankind." On July 22nd, Apollo 11 began its journey home, safely splashing down in the Pacific Ocean on July 24th. An estimated 650 million people worldwide watched the first moon landing. Till now, the US remains the only country to have successfully landed people on the moon's surface, even as India, Russia, Japan, China, the European Space Agency and Israel have sent their probes and landed vehicles on the moon. With inputs from Asta Kulshresht, Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Russia, formerly the Soviet Union, has long been in the forefront of the space frontier, beginning 50 years ago with the historic 4th October 1957 launch of Sputnik, the world's first artificial satellite. The modern age of space exploration exists largely because of 2 countries that competed to get the first people on the surface of the moon: the United States of America and the former Soviet Union. In our next report, let's take a look at the successful space missions of Russia.
While they never managed to send a human being on the moon, Russians are proud over being the first to send a human into space. Russia's space efforts started with World War II. They won the race by putting Sputnik 1 into orbit on October 4, 1957.
The Soviet Union became the first one to, in fact, send a man-made object into the space. That was in 1957, the Sputnik mission. That led to an intense competition between USA and USSR.
Let us take a look at the important space missions undertaken by Russia or the erstwhile former Soviet Union. The launch of Sputnik on October 4, 1957 ushered in the space age. A month later, Sputnik 2 blasted off into space atop R-7 rocket. It carried the first living creature, a dog named Laika, into space. Lunik 2 was the first man-made object to land on the moon on September 14, 1959. Luna 2 delivered Soviet-era emblems. Future lunar program spacecraft also snapped the first images of the moon's far side, and with 1971's Lunokhod landed the first wheeled rover on the lunar surface. On April 12, 1961, cosmonaut Yuri Gagarin became the first human being to set foot into space, making history aboard his Vostok spacecraft. The former Soviet Union's Voskhod spacecraft, a modified version of its one-man Vostok vehicle, was the first to fly a three-person crew. Voskhod 1 was launched in October 12, 1964. The first spacewalk was later staged from a Voskhod vehicle. Then came the manned space stations with Salyut series of orbital outposts. While Salyut 1 was launched on April 19, 1971, the Salyut 6 and 7 stations became the first operational stations that led to the development of Mir space station. After several attempts, the former Soviet Union became the first to pierce the thick veil of Venus's ever-present cloud cover to return to the first ever images of the planet's surface during the Venera 9 and 10 missions of 1975. The series of Venera probes relayed images and data from the surface of Venus through the mid-1980s. Even decades later, researchers are still remastering and studying those first views of the second planet from the Sun. On July 17, 1975, the former Soviet Union launched 2 Soyuz cosmonauts into the orbit to meet 3 US counterparts aboard an Apollo spacecraft in the first diplomatic manned space flight. The Apollo-Soyuz mission marked a cooperation milestone in the Cold War era, with the 2 spacecraft spending 2 days docked during science experiments and goodwill exchanges. With the success of the Salyut and later Mir space stations, the former Soviet Union began the first guest cosmonaut program that allowed non-professional space flyers access the space. The first orbital guest cosmonaut, Vladimir Remek of then Czechoslovakia, flew to Salyut 7 in 1978. A Japanese journalist flew to Mir for $12 million in 1990 as the first ticketed flights. Russia's Federal Space Agency continues to launch guest cosmonauts and space tourists to the International Space Station today. The former Soviet Union space shuttle Buran made only one unmanned space flight in November 1988 before the program was shelved and its orbiters put in storage. Unlike NASA's space shuttle fleet, the Buran orbiter could be flown on automated missions. It was launched with the aid of the massive Energia booster. Russia's space industry entered a deep crisis after the dissolution of the Soviet Union. From 2005 onwards, Russia's economy began to experience considerable growth. Roscosmos saw an increase in funding for its programs. This led to an ensured Russia's commitment to the ISS as well as renewed interest in the deployment of research satellites and crewed missions to space. New budget environment allowed Roscosmos to finally launch Ankara rocket after 22 years of its development. Today, the Soyuz rocket remains the workhorse of Roscosmos and has repeatedly been used to transport astronauts from other nations to the ISS. With inputs from Leena Sharma, Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Despite being the world's second largest economy, China has been a late entrant in lunar explorations. Chinese lunar ambition soared 50 years after the first moon landing, when earlier this year, its fourth lunar mission successfully landed on the far side of the moon, becoming the first country in the world to achieve this feat. China has come a long way since then. In fact, since it decided to begin its own space program only about 15 years ago in 2004. We leave you with this report that takes a look at all the Chinese lunar missions till date. Thank you very much for your time. The Chinese Lunar Exploration Program, or CLEP, is popularly known as Chang'e Project. Named after the Chinese moon goddess Chang'e, it is an ongoing series of robotic moon missions by the China National Space Administration. The first spacecraft of the program, the Chang'e 1 lunar orbiter, was launched on 24th October 2007. The spacecraft scanned the entire moon, generating a high-definition 3D map to provide a reference for future soft landings. The probe mapped the abundance and distribution of various chemical elements on the lunar surface as part of an evaluation of potentially useful resources.
Moon missions have been very expensive. So during those 60s and 70s, China was not in a strong enough condition economically to be able to spend that much money. Neither it was technologically so advanced. But in 2007, China entered the race and it sent its first moon mission when its orbiter circled around the moon and collected valuable data for China.
A second orbiter, Chang'e 2, was launched on 1st October 2010 to map the moon in far greater detail than the first lunar mission. It then left lunar orbit and headed for the Earth, Sun L2 Lagrangian point in order to test China's tracking, telemetry and command network. Chang'e 3, that included a lander and rover, was launched on 1st December 2013 and successfully soft landed on the moon on 14 December 2013, becoming the first spacecraft to soft land on the moon since the Soviet Union's Luna 24 in 1976. China named its first rover U2, or the Jade Rabbit, after the mythological pet rabbit of the moon goddess. But China's most ambitious moon mission was launched almost 50 years after American astronaut Neil Armstrong left the first human footprint on the moon. Launched on 7 December 2018, Chang'e 4 landed on 3 January 2019 on the far side of the moon, making it the world's first expedition to the moon's far side that never faces Earth. Chang'e 4's scientific tasks include astronomical observation using low-frequency radio, surveying the terrain and landforms, detecting the mineral composition and shallow lunar surface structure, and measuring neutron radiation and neutral atoms. As per the latest reports, U2-2 lunar rover has completed its 8th period of dormancy on the moon's far side and is in good condition after traveling 271 meters. One lunar day equals 14 days on Earth, and a lunar night is the same length. During the lunar night, the temperature falls below minus 180 degrees Celsius and there is no sunlight to provide power to the probe. U2-2 has so far discovered some unusual gel-like substance near small impact lunar craters. It is also carrying a radar that is penetrating the lunar surface to assess the resources present there. Chang'e 4 has a radio telescope placed on the quietest region of the moon, listening to noises of the universe lost on the lunar near side due to Earth-originated noises. As Chandrayaan 2 made an attempt to land its lander and rover, the Chang'e 4 entered its 9th lunar day. CLEP is designed to be conducted in 3 phases of technological advancement. The first is simply reaching lunar orbit, a task completed by Chang'e 1 in 2007 and Chang'e 2 in 2010. The second is landing and roving on the moon, as Chang'e 3 did in 2013 and Chang'e 4 did in 2019. The third phase is collecting lunar samples from the near side and sending them back to Earth, a task for the future Chang'e 5 and Chang'e 6 missions. According to reports, a Chinese station entirely operated by machines using artificial intelligence will be up and running on the moon by 2030. However, Chinese astronauts who want to go to the moon may have to wait until after 2030, when robotic technology has matured enough to support an upgrade of the lunar base to a livable habitat. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.